With the recent spike in kidnappings involving school children in South Africa, the Basic Education Department warns parents, teachers and drivers to be extra vigilant when dropping children off at school. The latest crime statistics reveal that at least 2,000 kidnappings have been reported between July and September this year across the country. For more on this, we're joined by Mtho Maphumulo, a senior associate from Adams & Adams. Thank you very much, Mr. Maphumulo, for your time. Now, this year was quite different with the crime statistics that were released. We've never heard the police tell us about kidnappings in the country. So this clearly shows that, this has started to become a problem.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, and a very good afternoon to your viewers. Yes, you are quite right. It is concerning, and these numbers certainly are justifiably worrisome for parents, being schools and Department of Education, and the society at large. So it is a great concern, and it is justifiably worrisome for everyone.
Now tell me something, Mr. Maphumulo. You'd remember that court case, that court ruling rather, by the Constitutional Court that said that the media would not be allowed to name or show the face of a child under the age of 18 who's been kidnapped. But many would argue that the media has actually assisted in making sure that whoever is able to identify this child helps the parents find the children. Is there more room to argue this matter for the media?
It will depend in the circumstances. There may be instances where it is useful and it is justifiable to use pictures, the images and whatever may be of great assistance in locating the kidnapped child. But there are in certain instances where doing so also may also be unjustifiable in law, in the sense that it may not be in the best interest of that particular kidnapped pupil.
Now, tell me, what do parents need to do? What advice do you have for parents? I mean, I know that with the police minister's announcement last week, Friday, he did say that among the 2,000 kidnappings, only 7% were for ransom. But with those 7%, I can imagine the parents who do have the money wanting to pay the ransom because they're thinking of their desperation to have their children back home and safe. Is that advisable? Just pay the ransom and get your child back?
I suppose then it becomes a decision and the financial muscle of a concerned family, but it is the responsibility of the police. Well, it is their legal duty of the police and all the legal enforcement to make sure that they are able to do proper investigations, and it should not. From a legal perspective, it's not something that I would personally encourage to say every time there is this call for, this ransom request, they we as parents abide with where all the agencies, the law enforcement agencies that should be doing proper investigations, doing proper and thorough job in trying to rescue or to locate the kidnapped pupils. But there are instances where the efforts of the law enforcement agencies may not be adequate, and depending on the willingness and the financial muscle of the concerned family, then it may be justifiable for the parents to pay for those. But from a legal perspective, it's not something that I would personally say it should be condoned, it should be encouraged. No, it's not.
So legally, where do lawyers then come in terms of, a kidnapping? We know that, of course, there's a criminal element of it, but is there anything parents can do against the kidnapper, for instance, when the child is found and you know who the kidnapper is? Is there anything that can be done legally for remuneration from the suffering that the family went through due to the kidnapping?
Okay, thank you for that question. It's a very important question. To start with, you are correct to say there's an element of criminal liability in terms of criminal law, that the perpetrators can be held legally responsible under the criminal offense being the kidnapping criminal offense. But then in terms of monetary compensation, then you've got to look at, well, if the kidnapper has been identified and is known, and that kidnapper is able to make payments, or rather to be sued in terms of the civil law, and can pay that particular amount that is that he is or she is sued for, then all good. That person can be sued in civil law. However, there is also possibility in the context of schools. For an example, schools do owe a legal duty to security of pupils in school. So where the circumstances just you know that in that particular kidnapping incident, it's justifiable to sue the school or the MEC of education, or particular teachers for that matter. Then there may be instances where parents or the guardians are able to sue in civil law, sue the relevant school, the relevant MEC of education.